Hey guys, I'm Indoor Smoker, and it is Miscellaneous Monday here on the Daily Vape. And the weather's so nice outside, I just had to stand up for a video today. That's right, it is a beautiful spring-looking day out here in the Northwest today. Hopefully you guys are finding some good weather where you're at on this Monday afternoon. So Mondays are one of the days that we do stuff that isn't necessarily e-cig related, other than the fact that I'll most likely be vaping throughout the whole thing. That's always pretty much a given. So I kind of usually do a mixture of, which is my own subject, my own study of interest, which is philosophy and history. I either do something on that bent, or I'll do little personal philosophy, inspirational, motivational stories. So the idea for the video today came from something that I had actually said over on the forum before, and I was talking with somebody who'd been dealing with a lot of problems, a lot of issues in their life right now, and they said they really needed some hope or inspiration. And I had said that everybody always says life is so short, but I've found that sometimes life can be longer than you think, and as long as you're still alive, there's always another chapter that can be had. A lot of times one that we didn't expect. And I am a perfect example of this, because I really thought I had turned the page on my last chapter several years ago. But everything just seemed to turn around out of nowhere. YouTube is something you wouldn't have even expected to be around 10 years ago. So you just never know how things can turn around. The only way you can't win is if you quit playing. As long as you're still in the game, there's always a chance for things to turn around. So I found in my own experience that life isn't about how hard you can punch. It's about how hard of a punch you can take. Because life's always going to have another punch to give you. And so learning to take those punches and move on is really, I think, the most important life skill you can have. I mean, it's a point that we can see so easily, like in working out. We say no pain, no gain. Well, I think there's a lot of that in life that you have to overcome, and you have to learn and be able to overcome that. And the only way to do that is to suffer and to struggle and to overcome those. So when I was young, my father was the type of person that anything that happened to you, you know, you could cut your finger off, whack yourself with a hammer when you're out back fucking around, and he'd always just be like, oh, it'll build character. Oh, that won't kill him. That'll build character. Everything will build character. He was supposed to pick you up after school, and you end up getting stuck standing out in the rain for an hour until he gets home, and my mom reminds him, and he comes back to get me. Oh, that won't kill him. That'll build character. Standing in the rain for an hour. That's going to build character. But in a strange way, I believed him, and I really did think that those hardships in life did build character, and not just the things that happen to you, but the way you react to them, the way you handle them. Now, if you cry and bitch and moan, you don't build anything from that, because that's like giving in to the adversity. Whereas if you fight it and you keep your chin up and you face it head on, that's what's going to build you that character and that strength, that internal strength. Really, that's what character is, right? It's a strength that we have on the inside that has nothing to do with arms or legs. But it's the idea that if you just don't give up, they can't beat you, no matter how much they beat you. This is Gandhi saying they can beat and kill you, and then they have your broken and dead body, not your obedience. So I'm just going to give you guys a little story, something that's always kind of been meaningful to me. This is something from back when I was about 10 years old. So, when I was young, we all had paper routes. I had morning and afternoon paper routes in Seattle. We had a morning paper and an afternoon paper. And my brother, he was the one who kind of started all the paper routes. My older brother, he got into them, and then everybody else kind of got them. And he actually had the really big driving routes, where you would have like 5 paper routes and you would drive everywhere. So I think he was about 19 or 20 at the time. I was probably about 9 or 10 years old. And they'd had a problem with the car, some kind of issue, something. They weren't able to drive. And so they had to come over to the house, and they got all the kids up. I had 3 siblings, so there was 4 of us kids. And they had, a couple of times this would happen, they have to get everybody together, and we'd all have to go out and help them deliver papers. They're running late or whatever. So on this particular day, it's about 4 o'clock in the morning when they come and surprise us that we got to get up and go help them because the car's not working and everyone's going to have to spread out and deliver a different route here or there. So this was just a miserable Seattle day, man, pouring rain, like just sheets of rain. I mean, it wasn't freezing, it's probably 40, 45 degrees, but still, man, just raining and windy and just nasty. And it's like the worst, 4 o'clock in the morning being surprised awoken when you're like 10 years old, man, having to go out into that weather and shit. It's like the last thing in the world you ever want to freaking do. So I remember I get my list of addresses and I've got the bag with all the newspapers filled in there, and I'm walking around in this weather just miserable. You know, you got your hood up and your coat and everything, but you're still just soaked to the bones. It don't make any difference. You know what I mean? You might as well be naked for as much good as all that clothing's doing you when it's raining this hard. You're just sopping wet. So I remember I get about halfway through my thing, and I'm just miserable, man, almost in tears, you know, ready to literally sit down on somebody's porch and just sit there and cry until my brother comes to pick me up. Be like, I can't fucking do it. And I just kind of hear my dad's words, you know, in my head about it builds character. And I'm just thinking, man, this is probably a great opportunity to build some really big character. So what if I just didn't try to just hide from the rain and turn my head from it and cower? What if I just took my hood off and unzipped my coat a little and I just put my chin up and faced it and walked into it? So I did that, literally, just took my hood off. I mean, I'm already soaked to the bone. What difference did it really make at this point? And I just sort of accepted the weather, and I just walked through, and as I'm coming around the end of the route, I remember my brother and his girlfriend and my sibling pulling up to get me, and they're like, what the fuck are you doing? With your hood down and your jacket unzipped and everything, you know? Are you crazy? What are you doing? And I remember still to this day clearly looking at them and saying, I'm building character. And of course they thought that was stupid. They're like, the only thing you're building is a case of pneumonia. Put your hood up, get in the car, the whole thing. So anyways, I didn't realize that it was just an expression, or supposed to be. I took it literally, and honestly, even when I lived off the grid, even when I was dealing with blizzards, hiking with a Walmart sled with my supplies 2 miles out to my property, there were many a time that morning popped into my head. And I really believe I built some character that morning. So anyway, whatever you want to take that as, I really feel like the trick to life is taking the punches, not giving them. I mean, anybody can beat up somebody weaker than them, but how many people can stand up and take a beating from someone stronger than them? That's much more impressive. Much more impressive. So if you just refuse to give up, if you just don't let life beat you, you can't be beaten. You can't be taken down. You can't be put to the mat if you refuse to go. If this is like Cool Hand Luke in the ring with that big guy when they were in jail, and the guy beats him, and Cool Hand Luke keeps getting up, and at first everybody's like, yeah, get up, do it. Man, by the time he's been knocked down a half dozen times, people are starting to feel so bad, they're just like, dude, just stay down, but he won't. He keeps getting up and keeps getting up. Finally, the guy beating him is tired and don't want to beat him no more. And after knocking him down, and even the guy beating him up says, just stay down, and he won't. He just gets up and says, you're going to have to fucking kill me. And the guy beating him turns around and walks off because he don't want to beat him no more. And guess what? Cool Hand Luke won the fight as far as I'm concerned. This is Muhammad Ali against George Foreman. Because anybody who's a fan of boxing, anybody who really watched that fight, basically, you don't win a fight by getting your ass beat for 8 rounds until a guy is so exhausted and then you just knock him down. But that's what happened because the fact was Ali wouldn't go down. And George Foreman exhausted himself beating Ali until Foreman was done because he couldn't beat him no more. And then all Ali had to do was give him a couple of these and knock him right down because he was done. But to allow somebody to exhaust themselves beating on you, I mean, that takes more character than beating up 100 people. Ho Chi Minh told the Americans when we were coming into Vietnam, he said, you will kill 10 of us for every one of you we kill, and you will grow tired and leave. And that's exactly what happened. The North Vietnamese never won a battle, and yet they won the war because we got tired and left. It's the way we won the Revolutionary War. The same thing. You go to somebody else's home and think you're going to beat them into submission, you better fucking hope they submit. Because if they don't, that shit ain't ever going to end. And eventually you are going to get tired and go home. So anyways, my point being, if you just hold your spot, if you hold your position, you don't have to beat the world. All you have to do is keep the world from beating you. And you just have to be standing there in the end. And as long as you're still in the game, you can always turn that shit around and win. So just don't ever give up. That's the only way you lose, is if you quit playing. As long as you're in it, put me in, coach. I'm ready to play. There's a line I mentioned in another video where in Lawrence of Arabia, Lawrence takes a match after he lights his cigarette and he puts it out with his finger. And another soldier, having seen that, tries to do the same thing. And when he puts it out, he goes, ow, that hurts. What the fuck? So Lawrence says, of course it hurts. And the guy says, well, if it hurts, what's the trick? And Lawrence says, the trick is not minding that it hurts. Now, I don't know if you ever get to the point where you don't mind that it hurts, but the way I see it, it's knowing that it's gonna hurt and accepting that fact beforehand, and then just taking it and just going through it and not turning your head, not turning away, turning into the strife, turning into the strain, turning into whatever it is that is basically the difficulty you're facing. Because the fact is, this is a character building opportunity for you. This is a chance to get stronger. No pain, no gain. Life's the same way. Much of what life is about is overcoming. And much of what happens when you're young is about learning to overcome. So that's why teenage years are so tough, I think, and so turbulent and filled with so much drama. I think they're meant to be that way because you need to learn how to handle that. You need to learn how to deal with it, and you need to learn how to overcome it and be strong enough to take those blows and keep coming back, because that's what life's about. The way you deal with your defeats will define you more than all your victories. So that is where I think there is some wisdom in the idea of turn the other cheek. Turn the other cheek and then turn it again and again and again until they exhaust themselves. Gandhi said that when you stand up to your opponent and allow him to beat you, but show him that you will not strike back, nor will you retreat from your position 1 inch. That they cannot help but have their hatred of you diminished and their respect from you increased. And their respect for you increase. And I have always found that to be true. Nobody can beat you and see how much you can take and not be impressed by that. Man, I'm blowing some fat clouds, lung hitting off of this Nautilus tank from Aspire on my 134. Man, it vapes like a beast. This is one of the biggest vaping combinations you can get. As always, I'll have a link underneath the video where you can go check this setup out if you want to go take a look at it for yourself. Alright guys, I'm not really sure how much sense that made to anybody, but anyways, there was my attempt for the inspirational video for this Monday afternoon. I'll be back again tomorrow with our Tuesday topics, so hopefully I'll see you guys then. Have a good one.